Good morning and welcome to the March 21st, 2019 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. If any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the agenda today, there are speaker request forms to the left of the dais. Please fill out the request with the agenda number of the item you wish to speak to and hand it to the secretary. At this time, we would also like to ask that if any member of the audience has a cell phone or other electronic device, that you either turn it off or turn the ringer to silent. If you need to take a call, please step out to the hallway so that the meeting is not disrupted. The public hearing on item number 1 is hereby opened, the approval of the February 7th, 2019 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting minutes. All right, Karen made the motion to approve the February 7th meeting minutes, and Rachel seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. That being the only item we have on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, I'd look for a motion to adjourn the Zoning Board of Adjustment. All right, Mike Gallagher made the motion to adjourn, and Rachel seconded the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned from Zoning Board of Adjustment. We will now commence the March 21st, 2019 Rapid City Planning Commission meeting. Again, if any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the Planning Commission agenda, please fill out a speaker request form and hand it to the staff along the left wall. Today on the consent calendar, items 1 through 7 have been placed on consent and may be approved as a group. Action will be taken on all consent items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the City Council. The City Council will make the final decision with the exception of the following items. Item 2, 19 UR 003. The Rapid City Planning Commission's actions on this item is final unless any party appeals that decision to the Rapid City Council. All appeals must be submitted in writing to the Department of Community Development by the close of business on the 7th calendar day following action by the Planning Commission. Are there any items 1 through 7 that staff would like to remove? Any items 1 through 7 that any planning commissioner would like to remove? Then are there any items 1 through 7 that any audience member would like to remove for separate consideration? Chair would then entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar items 1 through 7 in accordance with staff's recommendations. All right, Rachel made the motion to approve items 1 through 7 per staff recommendation, and Mike Gallagher seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8.
Check. There we go. Okay. Item number 8 is an initial and final plan development overlay application to allow a convenience store and on-sale liquor use in conjunction with a casino. As you will recall, we took action on this item at the March 7th Plan Commission meeting, and at that point we could not take action on the on-sale liquor conditional use permit application that went along with this request due to a notification error for the sign posting on the property. The sign has now been posted and has met the legal notification requirements, so we'll be taking action on that portion of the request today. Subject property is zoned General Commercial District and is approximately 11.28 acres in size and is located on the corner of East Mall Drive and North Elkvale Road. This is an aerial overview of the property, again showing its location along Discovery Circle, East Mall Drive, and North Elkvale Road. Future land use for the property identifies it as mixed-use commercial, within which General Commercial District is an identified zoning district. And on the city's major street plan, it is adjacent to 2 principal arterial streets, being East Mall Drive and North Elkvale Road. This is the submitted site plan for the development, again noting that it is a 15,300 square foot convenience store, and the casino portion that will have the on-sale liquor use with this property is located on the west side of the property over here, segmented off from the rest of the building. All aspects of the parking, landscaping, and other pieces of the site plan currently comply with Rapid City Municipal Code. Again, just showing the overview of the parking and the landscaping layout for the site plan. And this is the interior layout of the building, and that casino area is approximately 607 square feet, and it's located over on this side, and as you can tell, it's segmented off from the rest of the building by an interior wall and door. These are the exterior elevations of the building, showing the signage that is located on the building. The building is approximately 23 feet high, and this is the submitted sign package that was previously approved at the March 7th Planning Commission meeting, showing 317 square feet of LED signage. I was able to visit the property, and this is a view looking back to the west, showing both signs posted on the property. The property is not located within 500 feet of any playgrounds, schools, or any other churches, places of religious worship, etc. We don't anticipate that it will have any negative impact on the neighborhood for the on-sale liquor use. This is a view back to the southwest. A view to the north along Elkvale Road, showing the existing sidewalks and the surrounding development or lack thereof. View back to the east, showing the Flying J truck stop that is located within the city limits of Box Elder. And then finally, a view back to the south, looking across Interstate 90 and back on Elkvale Road. With that, staff would recommend approval of the initial and final plan development overlay to allow a convenience store with on-sale liquor use in conjunction with a casino with stipulations as noted in the project report. At that time, staff would be available for any questions, and I believe the applicant's consultant is also in the audience too.
Thank you. Any questions for staff on this item? Any comments? Any motions?
Approval with stipulations.
All right. Karen made the motion to approve item number 8 with the staff stipulations as noted. Is there a second? Second. Vince seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 9.
Morning. Item number 9 is 19 UR 002, conditional use permit to allow an on-sale liquor establishment in conjunction with a restaurant. Property is located at 1301 West Omaha Street, and it's for the Hero Hub. Property zone general commercial district. You can see flood hazard to the north, general commercial to the east and west, and light industrial to the south. It's an existing strip mall with many uses in it, including the existing restaurant. They're asking to serve beer and wine to customers with their meals. Future land use shows it as mixed-use commercial. West Omaha Street and Omaha Street's an established commercial corridor in the city. It is also identified as a principal arterial street on the city's major street plan. Site plan showing they are in compliance with parking. The suite size is approximately 1,960 square feet. So some of the applicant's photos showing signage and other uses within the building, signage along Omaha Street. And then here's some staff signage or photos. You can see the red on-sale liquor sign in the window. And looking at the rest of the building, showing the other uses. Poncheros is another one that has an on-sale liquor use in this area, as well as a salon. Looking to the north into the park, along Omaha Street to the east and to the west. And then adjacent property, the Office Depot, and then a gas station towards the east. This is an established commercial corridor. This is where we expect these types of uses, and in conjunction with a restaurant, this shouldn't have a negative impact on in the area. So with that, staff is recommending that the conditional use permit be approved with the stipulations noted in the staff report.
Thanks, Fletcher. Any questions on this? All right, look for a motion then. All right, Rachel made the motion to approve item number 9 with staff stipulations. And Mike Quasney seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10.
We have, hold on one second. Item number 10 is 19 UR 004, a major amendment to a conditional use permit to allow an on-sale liquor establishment for a property located at 632.5 St. Joseph Street. In particular, the applicant's proposing to open the Overclock Lounge, which will be a competitive gaming or esports bar. I believe the applicant is in the audience and can answer more specifics on that. But let me take you through some slides. It's located on northeast corner of St. Joseph Street and 7th Street, zone central business district, so there's no parking or landscaping required. It's in the established downtown where we expect to see these types of uses. The building is existing. Buell Building is covers 100% of the lot. Future land use is downtown. And you can see St. Joseph and Main are principal arterial streets on the city's major street plan. Here we have a layout. This is the basement that is accessed from St. Joseph Street. So these are the stairs going down into the basement from the sidewalk. The applicants indicated that really the only change they're doing is adding this new bar top in the basement. Some photos of the existing building. The applicant's signage, which he's proposing, should be aware that it will require historic review before getting before getting a sign permit. And then there you can see the red sign in that bottom right-hand corner of the picture, the sign posted on the property. And then this is where the that Overclock Lounge sign, it's already identified or built out as a pedestrian-oriented sign, which would be allowed in the central business district. Looking across the street to the south, existing businesses to the west along St. Joseph Street, a little bit to the east. So it's right in our downtown. Cranky Jeff's Bike Shop next door. We did receive one call from a neighbor who had concerns regarding whether this would be the type of use where people would be drinking and late at night and smashing windows. But I mean, this is the downtown. Hopefully being operating in conjunction with an esports gaming bar, this won't be the type of use that will attract these people that do that. Along 7th Street to the south and to the north. There is one stipulation of approval stating that there are some building code violations on the property which need to be addressed before a building permit will be issued for this use. It appears that the property owner and the applicant are working with Brad Solon, who was here but apparently isn't anymore, but they are working with staff to address those building code violations. So hopefully that will get addressed before this use goes in. And with that, staff is recommending that the conditional use permit be approved with stipulations.
Any questions for Fletcher on item number 10? Rachel?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, if they have a, on-sale liquor license, what is that, how does that affect their ability to have teenagers or, young adults? They can't be in there unless they serve food, is that correct?
I'm not exactly sure what the requirements of the liquor license are with the state.
I can answer that.
Wade?
Would you please?
Yeah, generally that's correct, that unless they have food or another use, then they're not allowed to have people under 21. I can't tell you the exact language of the statute. I think it's they can't loiter in there. They could come in probably with their parents, but just with somebody over 21. But otherwise, they're generally not allowed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I could just see this kind of use being very popular with, School of Mines kids who are maybe under 21, freshmen, sophomores, whatever, as well as teenagers. But I mean, I'm still in favor of it. I think I'm happy that they're coming to town and that they're doing this, but just curious. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Good question. Any other inquiries on this one? Look for a motion then.
Motion to
All right.
stipulations.
Rachel made the motion to approve item number 10 with stipulations. Is there a second? Karen seconded that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11.
Good morning. This application before you is to create a tax increment district for a residential use, and then also to approve the project plan that goes with it. The property is located at Sydney and Bridgeview. You can see Campbell right here. Bridgeview is this little side street, and then Sydney. It's been vacant for several years. The developer has already completed 3 other adjacent subdivisions, and this proposal is similar to the structures that are already next door. Just as a quick review, tax increment districts are paid through the funds generated with any increase in development. Any taxes collected from the base valuation, which is what is existing today, continually go to the taxing agencies until the district is paid off. And so generally when a district is finished, you have this new tax base to be distributed to the taxing agencies. And again, this is the portion of the increment that is used to pay for the project costs. We did revise the project plan from the last time you saw it in January to reflect the new 2018 rates. Those are provided here before you. This is a view of Sydney looking to the west, with Bridgeview just off the screen, and just a little farther east is Campbell. The property is generally located in this area, just to the north of Sydney. Here's a view of of Sydney Street looking to the east, and then again here is the property. And a view looking to the north, and then a view from the northern piece of the property looking to the south. So we want to look at the property valuations as we look at whether this is a feasible district or not. This is the valuation in 2008, and this is the valuation in 2018, and it dropped about 52% for the smaller property and about 48% of the larger property. Sorry that you cannot see that on the screen. And this is what the applicant's proposing. They've proposed to grade and put non-expansive soil in this location. They're constructing a regional pond. They're relocating the existing street section, which was over here in this location. And then because this is a residential district, staff requested that they include sidewalks in this proposal so that both sides of the street would have access to Bridgeview to the east, because there's a bus stop over at St. Pat and Campbell. And this is a view of where the street section would be relocated. And then the other item that they've proposed is to put fencing and landscaping adjacent to the industrial uses so that it blocks out generally those light to heavier industrial uses to the east of the property. And so when the TIF committee looked at this, they looked at paying for 100% of the plantings, topsoil irrigation and fence, the off-site sidewalk, the street improvements, 35% of the drainage cost, because that's the regional cost associated with the drainage pond, and then the grading costs excluding the non-expansive soil. And the reason that staff had recommended that is because it's really difficult to determine, whether that's a cost-effective use or not, because the geotech report identifies that that soil only needs to be placed at the foundation, not in that entire area that I had shown on that map. So therefore, the TIF committee did agree with covering just the grading costs. And so here's a picture of the proposed development. This is just phase one of two phases. They've got 10 townhomes, 15 duplexes, and 1 apartment building. This is Sydney right here. Campbell's off the screen here. This is a sample of one of the duplexes in the adjacent property, and I would assume that this would be consistent with what they're going to put in this proposed development. Here are the revenues that they provided. They're going to do 4 duplex lots, and I adjusted this timeline based on the scheduling of the approval of this particular proposal. So if they construct them in 2020, the revenues will be paid in 2022, and then so on down the line. But by the time this is over, we anticipate $5.6 million in property tax valuations, over and above the base valuation. One of the things unique with this particular project is last year during the legislature, they approved a new classification of a tax increment district, and that's an affordable housing district. And one of the things that they allow is Pennington County's income level is $71,300, and then with a 3 or more family, it's almost $82,000, and you can purchase a home of up to $250,000. And then if you're renting anything, any of the units, those are the rents that are the maximum for those rents. And the benefit of having an affordable housing TIF is that everyone across the state helps pay for this particular TIF, not just the local school district taxpayers. So then our existing TIF policy identifies that if you're doing a residential district, you have to provide 51% of those housing units as affordable. And affordable, actually, in our existing TIF definition, is based on the Housing and Urban Developments definitions for 80% of our area median income, and then it also identifies that you have to have 5% of those units at the lowest income, which is this extremely low number. What we did, comparable to our existing proposed TIF policy, is we adjusted that number of percentage for the homes. We reduced it from 51% to 30%. And this is a chart that just throws it all together. Here is your annual income for not only the affordable units but also the workforce housing, and then these are estimated home purchase prices based on several different loan calculators that are out there. And then here are the maximum rents based on those numbers, and then also our rent numbers for our HUD numbers. So then, with the existing proposal, I'm going to have to read these numbers for you. With the existing proposal, we're going to need 8 affordable housing units. One of those units has to meet that 30% AMI. There's 8 workforce housing units that are required, and then there are 15 unrestricted units, so they can charge whatever they want for whatever kind of home in the area, for a total of 31 units that they're putting in. And so one of the things that we also do is we look at the pro forma. So the first column is their costs without a TIF. And just off the screen, there is a 139% decrease or net loss. The next column is what it would cost the developer for this proposal with a TIF. You see the only thing that they're going to have to pay is the $580,000 plus the professional fees and engineering or contingencies for the local street that they're going to have to build. And then interest, they've got some closing fees, some land costs, and then an unpaid balance on their loan. So this particular loss column is just less than 0.06%. So it's only $600 that they're losing with that one. With the TIF proposal, as the way it stands today, here's what it would cost the developer with the 65% drainage and the non-expansive soil. So with this proposal, they're losing 11%. And then the fourth column there is the TIF charges, is how the TIF would actually pay off. And what just came up there, with this information, this TIF will pay off in December 34. But I just want to add, down at the bottom, those loss numbers do not include any potential income generated by rental revenue, by real estate commissions, by the profit that you make from constructing homes, or the profit that one of the developers will receive in a roundabout way from the sidewalk adjacent to their property. And I know that that's not included in their revenue, because the revenue is only based on the lot sales, but I want you guys to keep that in mind, that there are other revenue sources from these for these developers, because there's an average of about 4 rental units in each of those previous subdivisions for each of the 3 owners in Park Hill Development Company, and I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. And so one of the other things that we have to consider when we're looking at a TIF is, have we come close to meeting that 10% maximum requirement for valuations, property valuations within a TIF? And at the end of 2017, we are at 2.95%. This will bring us to about 2.696%, so we're well within that 10% maximum. And so here's the recommendation. We recommend approval of both creating the district and the project plan, provided that the applicant enters into a restrictive covenant agreement so that we can ensure that those affordable housing requirements are met, as well as the affordable workforce housing requirements are met based on states' requirements. And then also, as the TIF committee recommended, those are the costs that we also recommend. I did put together a couple other charts for you. This is the existing proposal and what's before you today. And I know that the applicant is interested in asking for more costs to be paid by the TIF. So the first sample is 100% of the drainage. If the drainage costs were included 100%, their loss is only 25%, but that, again, doesn't include those other income sources. If they include, if you choose to include all of the soil costs, their loss, actually, they have a gain of 5%, and of course, those numbers also change the payoff of the TIF, but all three of those options still will pay off within the 20-year time frame. But I just wanted to give you that because I know Tony's interested in requesting some additional costs. But with that, we do recommend approval based on what the TIF committee had recommended. And just for your reference, here are the other 3 subdivisions that our developer has completed to date. Any questions?
Great, thanks, Patsy. John?
With this new affordable housing unit designation, are the municipalities going to be restricted to how many of these we can do?
No, the restriction will just be the 10% maximum total property valuation within a TIF. It's really a benefit for the communities because the communities themselves don't pay for the whole TIF. The entire state does.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Patsy? I do have a speaker request form from Tony Marshall. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Patsy, would you explain to me the grading costs again? They're for those strips that you showed? And what are they?
Let me get back to that slide.
Okay.
So when, my understanding from the consultant or the developer's engineer is it's more cost-effective to grade out the 4 foot of excavation or the dirt that needs to be excavated and then place in the new soil in the entire area instead of just bringing it in piece by piece. But, you know, my concern from a building permit standpoint, and I know our building official has indicated that, you know, if they do this proposal, each homeowner isn't going to have to come in with their own geotech report, but I'm a skeptic on that portion of it, and so I think it's just more appropriate, you know, if you want to include the non-expansive soil that's required in this area on those entire red strips, we'd have to come up with some way to ensure that, you know, the property owner is getting some sort of discount for the taxpayers paying for that non-expansive soil. That's
Okay.
just my view, and that's consistent with a previous request that came in that was denied.
Is this something that previously we've done in other tax increment districts? I know we've had grading for streets and stuff like that, but this is where the homes will be. Is that typical?
You know, I don't know. The two that I've been associated with, 2 districts requesting non-expansive soil, and the first one was denied.
Okay. That was one of my thoughts, and they are going to do a geotechnical study?
Correct.
before?
Actually, it's already done. It was done with a preliminary subdivision plan from 2017.
Okay, okay. Well, the grading is one of my concerns, I guess, just where it's located, but I understand the reasoning for it, and if I was going to have somebody build up there, I'd want to make sure that the soils are correct, because that's kind of a touchy area, I think. And I know also landscaping is not something that we normally do. I know it has been done years ago in at least one tax increment district that I'm familiar with, but I can also see the need because of the industrial area there. So well, those are the only 2 questions that I really, or concerns that I had about this TIF. So
One of the items that we had discussed is, you know, who's going to take care of the irrigation and the landscaping until the district's paid. And so one of the things that is included in the project plan is that the developer will be responsible until the TIF district is paid off, and then once that's done, it will be the adjacent property owner.
okay, thanks.
I don't have any other questions for Patsy right now, so we'll go to Tony Marshall, if you'd like to come up and address this item.
Is there a picture you want me to put up, or do you want me to just...
Yeah, that'll work.
Which one, this one?
Yeah, this will be fine.
Good morning, Commission members and staff. My name is Tony Marshall. I'm the president of Park Hill Development. And we've been working on this for quite some time. And you mentioned the landscaping, Karen. I think it was 2 years ago, January, that we voted to allow landscaping as part of this TIF. So over the past 2 years, I've been working very diligently with staff. I know staff has a considerable time in this project to try and fine-tune it, and a lot of negotiation. There's two components to that grading cost, though, Karen. There's that $138,000 already within the TIF. That is an ordinary cost or allowable cost for a TIF. And then what Patsy showed you in a later slide was if I were to request consideration for over-excavating those foundations, which we're going to have to do anyway. The geotech requires that we over-ex those foundations. So those are two components of that grading cost. So one is already allowed and one I haven't asked for, and I don't know that I will ask for that. So I just wanted to clarify that, Karen. But whoever pays for it, it's going to have to be over-exed. So this is a good project for the city. It's going to contribute towards a needed niche in this housing market, which is affordable housing and workforce housing. There's considerable requirements for me to rent to those folks and to be in compliance, so there's a lot of effort that goes towards that. So rest assured that I'm going to be renting to affordable and workforce housing. This is a very, very tight project. I don't know how to legally do this, but I'd like to ask for, Patsy showed you 3 slides in there. One as is, as they've approved it, another one with 100% of the drainage cost versus 35%, and then the third slide was for the grading cost. I'd like to ask for a motion to choose that middle slide, if you will, and then ultimately, if it's agreed to or not, I'd like to, of course, have a vote on the entire project. Yeah, the slide to the right, developer pro forma with 100% of the drainage cost, given that it is such a very tight project. And finally, it's good for the residents of this community, given that there's certainly some unsightly properties on Bridgeview Drive, great commercial properties. I use some of those folks along there. They have every right to be there. I think this was, frankly, just some obsolescent platting. I don't know, Ken can speak to this, but I don't know today that if you could put an MDR district next to a light industrial district, I don't think that would be done or allowed. So that tree line satisfies that or cures that or plays some part in curing that. So I think that's good for the neighborhood. So I'd like to request the addition of, or for consideration, the number 5 on that pro forma.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Any questions for Tony? Rachel.
Okay, it's been a few days since I last saw this at the TIF Review Committee. Do we have anything showing the drainage, detention pond location or anything like that?
Yep.
As well as what percentage? Could we kind of run through how much drainage the subdivision needs compared to, is that the 35% there that is oversized? Is that
Right.
what we're talking about?
Correct.
Okay.
That pink area right there on the right side, that's the detention cell. And as Patsy indicated correctly, the site itself is 65% of that drainage, and the 35% is the regional, or what I'm not developing here. And so that staff already allowed that cost, that 35%. But in order to make this project more viable, I'm asking for 100% of the drainage cost.
Okay. And then, I guess another question is, I kind of see the topography of, the land as it is, but once you grade it, what is your intention for drainage? It's going to all go to that detention pond, but in terms of like the commercial zones or the industrial zones adjacent to it, are those draining towards?
Those are below grade
Okay.
for this project.
Okay. Yeah, I understand there are a lot of challenges here, and so I'm considering, including more of the drainage or supporting that, just because I understand that you need those landscaping costs. There are a lot of things going on with the site just to make it a place where people want to live, So I can see your perspective here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can I just add one more comment?
Yeah, Patsy?
One thing I neglected to identify is, with our proposed policy, we are looking at concentrating our TIF efforts on infill, and this does fall within the second area, the second priority, and it does pass the evaluation chart as well.
Good to know, thank you. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I want to say that I do support the tax increment district in the project plan. But as far as the additional cost that you asked for, Tony, I think because of what we've done in the past and how we look for the future, I think the drainage for your area, most developers have to take care of their own drainage, and that's what the proposal is that staff's put together. So I think I would have to keep that the way it is. And as far as the grading, obviously I have some concerns to start with, so I would not support the additional costs you asked for that either. But I do support the project as a whole, and I think once you get it completed and you start doing some rentals and stuff, I think you'll recoup your money. And I think one of the other things that we're not tasked to do is to make sure that you make money. I mean, that's not what tax increments are supposed to do. So we're just trying to help you cover some of the costs that would be extraordinary, and I think the ones that staff's put together are those costs. And I think the fact that you've worked together and compromised on so many things, I applaud you for doing that, because it's taken a long time for staff and you to get together with this. But I do support the way that staff's brought it together to us, so thanks.
John?
Yeah, are you proposing basements?
No basements.
Okay, I didn't see that anywhere.
Yeah, no basements. They'll all be,
You're bringing 4 feet of non-expandable soil in.
yeah, we're going to have to import that. Import, over-excavate 4 feet under all these foundations, and import engineered fill and recompact, which is an extraordinary cost, but it needs to be done. And
They factor in absorption then, too, for the drainage, for the new soil?
absorption? Absorption?
Because it'll absorb better than the expandable.
That I don't know. That's beyond my
Oh.
area of expertise.
They did identify the recommendations in the geotech report on what to do.
All right, thanks.
Any further questions or comments on this item? I think we have the option to make a motion based on staff's recommendation. We also have the applicant's request for additional drainage costs. Anybody ready to make a motion on there? Vince?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Vince made the motion to approve the application for a resolution creating the Park Hill Tax Increment District and approving the project plan based on the staff's recommendations as presented, and only including 35% of the drainage costs, and everything else is as presented by Patsy. Any discussion on this motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Motion carried, though. I was the only no. All right, any discussion items or staff items today? All right. Yeah, John?
What is our population, since we approved that? I didn't see the number.
76,000
Oh,
something.
76?
Yes.
Ken?
I'm sorry, there was one thing, just a reminder, next Thursday night, we do have a work session on the accessory dwelling units issue. We're hoping that we're coming to a closure, getting closer to an actual proposal that will move forward on that. Hopefully, you will have had the opportunity to fill out the survey. If not, please do so. That's very helpful for us. Even if your answer is just simply no and that's all you do, we want to hear that. We want to know where you're at, what your concerns are. So thank you.
And I also just saw yesterday there's a invite for a brown bag type luncheon for inviting questions on the TIF
Yes.
policy.
Yes, thank you. So, Patsy, that was the 4th of April, right, for the TIF policy?
Third, I think.
brown-
Wed-
Third.
Wednesday, the 3rd.
The 3rd, Wednesday the 3rd at noon. So you are welcome to come to it. We're not specifically asking that you attend that one, but it will be a review for the developers. And we'll, as requested at our previous meeting, I think we'll end up coming back in May to the Planning Commission just to give us some sufficient time with other things that are happening as well. But yes, noon on the 3rd for TIF discussion.
All right. John?
Can we get a copy of some of the feedback on the ADUs before the next get-together so we can know what's been said and what we can address?
Yeah, we can do that. We'll send out an email. I know Sarah's still compiling some of the results, and we're having a meeting today to kind of review how we're going to present those. But yeah, probably next week. We'll send out a reminder email, and with that, a link to see where we're at on the results.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'd look for a motion to adjourn. All right. Rachel made the motion, and Mike seconded that motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Don't do that, then you're going to get cranky.